it might be something that works better within the realm of, you know, trying to sculpt your body or, you know, hone your craft, because it's, you're relying on yourself. But when you bring somebody else into the mix, you have to make allowances for their own needs and wants, and you can't control another person. So it's really hard to work on something unless you decide with the other person that there are certain things that you're going to not do or do to make the relationship better. But it's not so much about continuously rehashing what has already occurred. It's more about making agreements for the future. And that's not really work. I mean, that's just a matter of being in agreement. So, in any case, that was that, and that's kind of like in the past. Right now, what are you feeling? Or what's happening? Four of Cups. Now, I think based upon what I've seen in the past, there may be some discontent with some of you. Maybe the other person is trying to offer you love, and it's too late. You know, there's just too much history, too much crap has occurred. Especially if you were deceived and you feel like you don't trust that person anymore. You know, that person may be doing everything they can to make it up to you, and you're not being moved emotionally about it. You know, I pointed out the other day, and I think this was actually in a private reading, that the alternate, you know, interpretation of the Four of Cups is somebody who is very, you know, grounded in their relationship, where it's becoming very, it has a very strong foundation. It may not be, you know, the most exciting thing on the planet, but it works for them. But this card, you know, when you see the person's blank expression, it seems to me most people, when they get that card, it's showing that they're not feeling that partner. There's not that emotional connection has come and gone. And so maybe you tried really hard to make it work and it's just not working. I want to say really quickly that with the Strength card and the High Priestess card, you may have, you know, found that strength through spirituality as well. And that may have been what kind of kept you together in a lot of ways. What I like is that what's coming in for you is related to the Sun card. And so this is, this could be a Leo person, because Leo is ruled by the Sun, but this could be just a romantic relationship, and Leo rules the 5th house of romance, and so that could be connected to this. And this card is also connected to success and happiness, and kind of like a stark contrast to that feeling of maybe disillusionment or just nothing exciting happening, boredom. But now you have found love. And, you know, it's something that Librans dream of. You know, this is what you're all about, is love. So, you know, however it comes, whenever it comes, you know, just be receptive to it so that it, you know, has an opportunity to come to you. How does it feel for me to tell you that you might have love come into your life? For some of you, you may be very excited about that, but some people may be skeptical. And when you notice skepticism arising, ask, you know, where is this coming from? You know, why do I have to doubt the good coming my way? And that can give you kind of like an insight into, you know, do you feel deserving of love? Because if you have had a bad experience, it may reinforce some beliefs that you've always held that are not serving you. How this relationship will affect you is represented by the 6 of Pentacles. And it's going to, you see the scales, that's your sign or symbol. There's going to be balance. There's going to be, now this does deal with the material energy, so, you know, money and career, but in terms of relationships that are substantial, which I tend to see now that the Pentacles can relate to relationships that are really kind of grounded in reality. Not that they're necessarily going to be overly materialistic, but that they have stability and they have a sense of viability, that they're not just fantasies on the part of the person who's getting the reading, you know, like you're, or even like, you know, if it was in the Swords, it could be just like your thoughts about it, your theories, not necessarily what was happening. But the Six of Pentacles is really about someone who is giving and receiving and able to see that it's important. So if you've been too much on the giving end in the past, that's something for you to learn and to look out for. A tendency, you know, learn to have boundaries, learn to say no, you know, in an appropriate and polite way, which I'm sure that you would be polite, but not fearing, you know, looking after yourself. And because that's what a balanced relationship is all about. A balanced relationship is that the other person is someone who is another adult. Like, you're not going to have to be the parent, be the person's counselor because they have a lot of emotional baggage, or they have an addiction and you have to be their nursemaid or what have you. Whatever it is where you're ending up being the one who is pulling the weight, that is going to be a situation that is probably you know, best avoided. I'm not one of those people that say relationships should be 50-50, because it doesn't work that way. It's not a business partnership. Sometimes one person has a certain affinity for a certain area of life. Maybe they make a lot of money and they say, you know what, you don't have to work, you know, and that's between the couple, if both of them agree. The problem is when one person is trying to do something and the other person feels burdened by it. You know, if one person wants to be the one who cooks, or whatever the situation is, that's kind of a mundane example, but you get the drift. That's not imbalanced. To the outside world, it may look like that, but it's really, if you're okay with it within your relationship, then that's fine. But sometimes people unconsciously find themselves in relationships where the other person is a mess, and it kind of is a payoff for them. They get a payoff because they get to be in charge. They get to be in control. And the other person, I'm talking about the person that is quote-unquote together, gets to be the responsible adult in the room. And that gives them a sense of purpose. The problem is you need the other person to be messed up in order for you to be, you know, fulfilling yourself. And that's where it gets messy. So this is a situation where you both feel that you are getting something out of the relationship that's tangible. And the outcome, but I say, it's not just this kind of like a dry business agreement, because you do have the Sun, and that's so romantic and, you know, happy times. The outcome is the Knight of Swords. This can be an actual person, so it could relate to that person. That person may be, I said it was a Leo, but maybe they have Leo rising and they have a Sun in Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. And by the way, I keep talking about people who are with people of their own sign. So let me know down below if you're Libran involved with another Libran, and tell me, you know, how many bathrooms you have, because I'm sure in the morning you're like fighting for a mirror space, trying to see who's going to look the best. So in any case, the Knight of Swords is about really, I think, being assertive about your ideas. It can be a bit chaotic if the person is not careful, because it can be a rather zealous energy of somebody who's fighting for, you know, the ideas that they hold dear. And I think, you know, without getting too involved in this, I think that this may relate to you, to a new kind of an idea that you have, or not idea, but a new understanding you have of yourself, and how at the beginning of a relationship, which it looks like you may be falling in love at some point, you have to, you know, assert yourself. You have to speak up and say what you need and be the Knight of Swords doesn't hem and haw. They say what they feel and they just cut to the quick. And you can't be indirect like Librans like to do, because the other person may not really understand where you're coming from, and they may miss the hints, and it obscures everything, and then you don't get your needs met. So you have to do this from day one. You can't be afraid of, oh, well, I'm going to just go along with this other person, you know, for the first few months, and then I'll tell them who I really am. Well, that's not fair to the other person. The other person should know from the get-go who you are, what you stand for, which the Knight of Swords is all about. What you stand for. You are the swords. You know, you're an air sign. Air signs are about communication. The only thing is that you're worried about how other people will take your communication. And that is the problem. You have to stop worrying about what other people think of you. You know, if you're a grown adult, you have to stand in your integrity, stand in your truth, and be diplomatic, as you are very good at doing, but also, you know, not be afraid of displeasing somebody, of having somebody not accept you for your ideas or for your needs. And you have to just like say, you know what, if they're not going to accept me, then they're really not the one for me, and I'm going to weed out this person because I don't think it's going to go anywhere ultimately. Because what you're looking for is, you're looking for something that is solid. You know, the number 4, again, structure. You're looking for something structured, but you don't want that, you know, the negativity that accompanies the 4 of Cups sometimes, which is about indifference, the negativity of indifference. You want something where you're totally engaged. These people are totally in love and engaged with one another, and they're like 2 peas in a pod. You know, you as Librans rule the 7th house of partnerships, so you tend to gravitate towards partnerships, whether it be in your private life or even in business, you know, instead of working alone or being alone. So because of that, you have to choose wisely, because you're working in close contact with another person. And the Knight of Swords is an energy to emulate in order to let people know where you stand and what your needs are. And so I think I'm going to leave it there, Libra, but I wish you all the best in November. Bye.